were kind of stranded with two other of the ODA guys, and you kind of got into a fight, and then you ended up treating them, or treating at least one of them.
Well, I'll give you the short story, man. I'll give you the short story, and I just say that because, like, I don't really, for no reason. I just don't talk about it. So, like, to tell you the truth, man, like, unless I pull out, the after action and like actually read it, like, I just don't remember a lot of the events, I guess. So, like, to tell you the truth, man, like, I've heard so many different versions of this story that, at this point, man, I don't really know what's true anymore.
What's true and what's not. Yeah.
But I mean, the gist is, man, like, just supporting the commando mission, infilling on the X, man, and moving towards the objective. And once we get into the objective, we get the team. We get a stronghold point, man, and then from there we move to the inside of the town to, like, meet our objective, which was to get to a possible IED making facility, and just sweep the town to just to pick up ID, possible ID material and stuff like that. Once we get to this specific compound, we just start taking fire. We were able to actually get clear the outer portion of the compound, enter the compound, and there was like a little lull in the fight, and myself and two other guys decided just to kind of sweep through the courtyard, just because the air support before we actually ended up killing some guys, so we just wanted to verify the KIA. And as we're sweeping through the compound, man, like two of my guys get hit. And from there, literally, it was just, just trying to provide suppressive fire, because I could tell that, the guys that, the bad guys that ended up shooting my guys up, they're still trying to, they're still trying to shoot them, to ensure they were dead. So literally, my main job at that point was just try to provide suppressive fire to ensure that they didn't kill my guys. And it took a little while, but finally, the rest of the, not the rest, but some of my ODA teammates, got up next to me. We were able to provide enough suppressive fire to where I was able to get to our two guys, with some help. We were able to pull them back. And, then the rest of the ODA team was still actively fighting. And I was able to get, my patients into a little small spot, provide medical treatment to ensure they were stabilized. We were able to call in air support, man, get a dust off in. And, this is all, at night, the sun hadn't come up yet. And it was about 17 degrees that morning. So that was really, the tough thing was trying to keep my patients warm. We were able to get him to the helicopter, get him exfilled out. I just remember passing off all my med treatment information to the dust off medic. And then I was just in a rush, man. I felt like the guys were stabilized enough, and all I wanted to do was get back in the fight, right, man, join the team, ensure nobody else was getting hurt, help them finish cleaning the compound. So, man, I just remember passing the information off, getting the guys on the bird, man. I just sprinted back to the fight, man. And just, got in the stack, and, the guys finished cleaning the compound, and, we just had to wait for nightfall to come. And then, the guys the controllers I was with, man, they lit up the sky, man, to get us exfilled. It was pretty awesome. They put on a pretty good show, and we got out of there, man. And it was a good day.
And those two injured, they survived?
Yeah, they're good. Actually, it's funny because I was just texting the other day, one of the guys, and he's like a team star now, so he's he got back on status as soon as he could. Had a lot of work done on his leg. I think he wears a brace and stuff like that. But I mean, dude's a stud, man. He was awesome, man. So I never had a doubt that he was gonna be back in the fight.
Yeah, it's did you, after you handed off, and you start going through, things kind of calm down, whether you're still on the objective or whether you're back at the fob, did you start kind of recounting the medical treatment that you provided, and you start going like, "Ooh, I wish I had done this better"? Or
yeah. So I mean, the things, I don't know, man. I don't like, I'm sure just like all the guys, just like yourself, man. Like we don't like talking about ourselves, man. So you know, truth be told, man, I do find it difficult talking about that specific mission. We'll call it that specific
Mhm.
mission because, you know, it's been so it's been, you know, because it's, I don't know, been highlighted, whatever the case may be, right? And
Yeah.
you know, I feel more embarrassed than anything else, like when people talk about it. So like, you know, what the things I do like talking about it are like, you know, the mistakes I made, right? Like, you know, the things I talk about are like the funny parts, like, you know, if it was on a movie, dude, right? Like you guys, like you and I would just like die laughing, like, and you know, and honestly, man, like, you know, in my head, that's what comes up is like just the comedic portions of like what happened. Like, so I mean, you know, when I was dragging, you know, Tom back, you know, he was the guy that was mainly injured. You know, as I'm dragging him back, he was a bigger guy than me, so like, you know, it was a little bit of a haul because I not only that I had to get him up like a 4 foot, you know, kind of wall. But as I'm dragging him back, you know, I'm watching our team sergeant just annihilate these guys, man. He's like, you know, the grenade went off. I can see him flying through the air, and he like does this ninja roll, gets back, and just starts laying down waste, man. He's just laying down hate, man. It was awesome. Like, you know, and this is happening as I'm pulling him back. But you know, the first thing I remember was as I'm dragging Tom back, like I see his leg where it's severed, and like, you know, it's being held on by like, you know, just by a little bit of flesh, you know, and I'm just like, you know, and I can hear him like, you know, he's obviously in pain, right? And as I'm dragging back, I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, holy shit, man, like, you know, you know, all I'm doing is hurting him, right? Like I wish like I immediately just picked him up because, you know, going through SOMSI, going through the 18 Delta course, like we never dragged our patients. You never drag it. Like you always pick the guy up. And so I remember like thinking to myself, and this is all going through my head as like, you know, I'm watching this, you know, firefight happen in front of me. Like I'm not, you know how it is, man. We're not thinking about ourselves. Like there's just so many things going on in your head.
Yeah.
But I'm, you know, somewhere along the line from going through SOMSI in 98, 99, and now I'm 2013, like, you know, for some reason in my, like, we just stopped picking our patients up and we started dragging. Like, it was like, grab that handle on the kit and you drag, right? You know, we have drag straps, all this, and man, like, I wish I had picked him up instead of dragging him through that dirt, you know? So
Yeah.
not only that, you know, as I'm dragging it back and I get to the wall, you know, as far as I can advance, like I trip over like a step and I literally fall head first into these bushes. And like I couldn't get out. Like it was like, you know, straight off of like a cartoon, like where my, you know, your feet are like I couldn't get my out. And so as soon as that happened, like some of the ODA guys showed up, you know, they left the strong point and they showed up to, you know, where we were at. And literally, you know, it's like a movie. They pick me up with two legs and like, you know, I stand up and I'm like, I just remember my hands hurt like crazy. So I remember loud nods. I'm like staring at my fingers. I'm like, and like three of my fingers were dislocated because I fell, you know, that way.
Oh,
So and I remember our junior Bravo, he just like looks at me, he yells, he's like, and he like grabs my fingers, like pop, 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 pop. I'm like, all right, grab him, like, let's go, you know? It was like one of those things. So, you know, as you know, we get him up this wall and we had killed four guys, like as you know, trying to get into the main compound, we had killed four guys like right at the entrance at one of the main buildings. And they're literally just laying on this, there's like, it's like maybe like an 8x8 piece of, you know, land that wasn't, you know, that was the only cover we had from the engagement that was going on. So, you know, trying to keep Tom out of that line of fire, I had to drag him over these four bodies and to get to this little spot where I can treat him. And the funny thing was, like, you know, after we got back, we went straight to the hospital to go see Tom. And you know, I remember he looks at me, he's like, dude, I thought I was dying because I thought you were putting me into an expected pile with those four bodies. And I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry, man. Like, you know, like, you know, I when he said that, I could only imagine like what was going through his head. I was
yeah,
like,
that
oh
feeling,
God,
like,
dude, you
oh,
know, exactly. So, you know, that happened. And you know, probably the last thing, you know, I really was really happy with the treatment that I gave. You know, the protocols I followed. You know, thinking about hypothermia. You know, I always carried like, you know, my big puffy, our linebacker jacket. I always carried that with me, and then like, you know, I remember calling to the guys from the strong point, you know, if they came to bring that, and that's what I covered Tom up with my linebacker jacket, you know, before I packaged him up. And like still this day, I have it in my locker. And like I still have his blood on it. I don't ever wash it off, man. but the last thing I remember is, because we had to get him over 2 walls to be able to like get into the field to get him to the helicopter. And I remember as like I said, after I handed him off and I started sprinting back, I got to one of the walls and um, I saw his the IV bag. Like I saw the IV bag that I on the floor by like the second wall, and I was like, holy shit, like so somehow like it fell out of the litter, and, it got pulled out. And what made me think about that was like, the one thing I thought about as soon as I saw it, it's funny how all these little things are happening so fast. But literally I was super proud of myself, because when we went through SOMSI once again, I'll continue to harp on SOMSI because that it's just such a phenomenal course, or it still is. But I remember like like the instructors would grab your IV bag after you you tape it onto your patient, and they would like full force throw it, right? So, and like so if you didn't tape it good enough, like the whole thing was going to come out, the IV, your catheter was going to come out. So it was like a big deal to ensure that you tape it up and make sure that catheter doesn't come up. So like somehow somebody might have stepped on it, and the force pulled the bag out and not the catheter. I mean, still, granted, he could have he's probably bleeding out, but I mean, I was so proud of myself that my catheter didn't come out. But it was those are the things that I talk about. I remember, and things I need to fix, man. So it's you know how it is, man. It's like the little failures. Those are the things that I remember, and like those are things I need to fix and do better. That's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same thing after we do a cast mission, because there was a troops in contact or something like that. You start reviewing the tapes whenever you do get back to your fob, like, what the hell did I say? And then you messed up the 9 line or whatever it is, and you're like, geez, dude, what is going on? I should not be a combat controller or a JTAC anymore. Like, you just but yeah, for everybody that's out there that is wondering what expected means, it exactly what it sounds like. You're expected to die, or you're expected to pass. So Ivan putting him in that, not in that pile, but near that pile, or him having that, you said Tom, right? Having that mindset that I'm expected, like that definitely could have gone worse. I can only imagine what was going on in his head. But a common theme that between you, me, and everybody else that has been in situations like that is that there is some funny stuff that happens. There's funny things that are said, like, I mean, all of a sudden you're injured, you're bleeding out, you're a comedian for whatever reason. There are some funny things that come out of your mouth. And there always is I didn't know that your fingers got dislocated.
Yeah, man, I just remember that. It was so funny, man. Like and as it's happening, like you know how it is, man. You constantly like holy crap, man, I can't believe this is happening like right now. And I just remember like the look on our junior Bravo's face, Jason. I remember I don't even know why he yelled, but like I showed him my fingers, and it freaked him out, and he yelled, and then he just immediately grabs it. It's like pop, 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 pop. It was like, and then I was like, all right, come on, man. It's like one of those things. So yeah, man.
Yeah, you don't get time to even think about it. You just go. But I mean, you always hear about the guys walking on nods doing a patrol, and all of a sudden they fall over a fence, or there's a ditch, or you're in Iraq, and all of a sudden you're like, why is it squishy? And then you realize you're in a cesspool. Like,